If it wasn't for the seagulls, you'd probably think you're in a tropical rainforest here in Brighton, here in the early morning, where I'm just out and starting my day and thinking about 3 or 4 weeks from now, which is the Edinburgh Fringe beginnings, as it begins in August. And FringeReview is gearing up for that right now. We're receiving lots of press releases into our inbox and getting very humbled and very excited. And this is quite a focused little video about a particularly important part of the Fringe, and I encourage you to think about this well in advance if you're putting on a show, and also to have a strategy ready for it. And it's really concerned with pricing, and that might seem a strange thing if you've already registered your shows and you've already had to say what the price of your ticket is going to be, and that's already there. And if there are any discounts, they're usually standard across the Fringe, and you might have already joined in with the 2-for-1 offers, which are part of the Edinburgh Fringe and also other Fringe festivals. But I think there's another end to pricing, which is where you do special offers during the Fringe, and some of these have to be agreed with your venues, and they might be part of your financial settlement, but they are also part of a classic, I suppose, commercial strategy to get bums on seats and to get people in, particularly if things aren't going very well. And so rather than tell you which venues allow you to do what and what the consequences will be, let's just assume you want to go beyond the pricing that you've had kind of fixed. And once you've got permission, however that's given, to go flyering on the Royal Mile, possibly with tickets in your hand, obviously what you might be doing, particularly early on in your run, or to rescue poor ticket sales, are free tickets. And free tickets, I would suggest that word is overused at the Edinburgh Fringe, and actually saying free tickets on the Royal Mile while lots of other people around you are giving free tickets it starts to sort of diminish the value of doing it, and it can lead to people taking tickets and still not coming to your show. So one of the suggestions around pricing is still to start the conversation about would you like to come and see a show, and do all the usual things. And if people are interested, is use your instincts to then go, and I've got some free tickets with me, or we've got a special offer going on at the moment where if you come today, it's not going to cost you a penny. So not costing you anything is another just way of putting it. Complimentary tickets works well, particularly I would say with a slightly more middle class generation, and again you need to read that yourself, but adapting your free ticket pitch with different words, just try it and see what works. Then there are other offers that you can give out around your own versions of 2-for-1, your own versions of free tickets at the door. Just say this password, and some venues are allow you to do that. It just creates a little bit more intrigue, and it of course encourages people to go to the venue and actually go and see the show, because they've got to pick the tickets up. But if you're nearby, you just simply say, look, go and see my colleague over there. It just creates a little test of will to see if people are actually going to go to the show, rather than just giving them out. The other extreme, which can be just very direct, is standing there literally. Some people have been in costume and silent, holding the tickets in their hand, and people have taken them. There's much greater risk that people might not come. It's like taking a voucher and not spending it, but it might work. Ticketing, what we call exit flyering, when you've got permission and you do that respectfully, involves flyering the exit of shows that are similar to yours. Maybe they're just coming out of the venue you're going into, say here's some tickets for another show. All of that can get you audience, though of course it doesn't get you revenue, but audience might say I've seen a great show, and they become your advocates and your salespeople, and that's one of the reasons you would do it, which is to build up audience through giving out those free tickets. And doing your own 2-for-1 offer, again, probably better to be nearer the venue to do that. Having vouchers, all of that can work too. 3-for-2 can work. Family tickets, kids go free is another way of doing it. Half price particularly acknowledges the fact that not everybody is with another person, and so saying a half price ticket where you particularly fly people who are out and about on their own can work. Saying 2-for-1 to somebody on their own can really pee them off if they're on their own and actually they don't have someone to go to the theatre with but would still like theatre, and that acknowledges them too. You can do other kinds of discounts as people leave a show. You can actually say, and there's 50% off our other show at the Fringe, or you might have done a deal with colleagues and friends to say we've got half price on a show that we recommend in this venue or elsewhere, and they can do the same for you. So you can get quite creative with how you discount shows as well, and I would say collaboration often works. And you can literally talk about if it's a particular genre, you can say, you know, you can get a discount if you go for 5 shows. It's almost like a season ticket, and some people have done that really well too. It's interesting, the bird song has stopped here in Brighton, and we get the other song of people who, I think they've been out all night and they're very merry, and you might hear those voices in the background too. I'm in my favourite cafe that's opening here at the moment. Some companies absolutely do no sort of discounts whatsoever and just say this is about our work, this is what it's worth. I just wanted to suggest a few others too, which you can start quite early on in the Fringe, but it's probably a bit late now, which is we sometimes calling it paying forward, and we can call it bursary tickets, and it's the notion that when somebody buys a ticket, particularly if it's a show where proceeds are going to charity or it's a really important issue, is to invite people when they buy a ticket to actually pay forward and pay for a ticket that you will then give to somebody who can't afford a ticket, and that can give them a free ticket. And some people align to that, and that can be on your website right from now and on your socials as well. But in any way around issues now of affordability, of accessibility, paying forward and bursary tickets and donating tickets can be really, really a way of aligning people to the values that underpin your show as well. Now, in the free Fringe, we've got pay what you want. And what people often do on stage is they suggest a payment, and that has got quite pushy in some venues, which I don't agree with. But I do understand people are desperate, you know, not to lose their shirts at the Fringe. But absolutely, if you're in the free Fringe and it's pay what you want, you can absolutely have a pitch that talks about how much it costs to get to the Fringe. You know, we all know how expensive it is, and invite people to put a tenner in the bucket. But I would say don't make an issue if they walk past or they just put nothing in. Do not abuse people, because that becomes news stories to other people about going to see shows, and people do not want to be stressed. They want to be relaxed, but people far more experienced than me might have more to say about that. And if you're playing in the free Fringe or pay what you want venues, you know, ask other performers and ask the venue what is the kind of etiquette, what's the best way of doing things around here as well. But being flexible on price, particularly if you're doing a long run, is a way to ensure that empty seats do get filled. And I would see it as an investment if it works, because it does mean people that have not paid for a ticket that enjoyed your work will come out, and certainly if anyone says, what have you seen that you liked, they might tend towards more generously recommending your show because of the gesture that you gave towards them. So lots and lots of different ways of doing ticketing. Really the last thing to mention, if you're allowed again in your venue and you're not going to get into bother because you've made business arrangements and contracts, is to actually have the payment machine with you and say, I can sell you a ticket now, and someone can just tap wirelessly and you can give them a ticket. And if you're allowed to do that, the direct route is the best, and they're more likely to come and see your show than if you kind of get them to take a ticket, and maybe they will and maybe they won't later on, and they might arrive at your venue later, see there's a big queue for the box office and simply not bother. So find out the best tap machines. There are plenty of them there. People are already doing that, and you can even do it on the free Fringe, of course, on the way out, and people can make donations literally as you leave. So lots and lots of creativity around ticketing and pricing. Go carefully, go gently, and go boldly.